Wealth and influence sort of shakes hands. And that's why you thinking in a wealthy place or from a wealthy place is so important. Well, I'm not wealthy. That's fine. You don't have to be wealthy physically yet. You just need to be wealthy emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. Once those principles take place in your life begins to change. Hey everybody, Dr. Martin Williams here. I help people discover, develop, and deploy themselves into a world without losing themselves in this amazing world that's been created for us. Your life is going to change so quick and so fast when you become wealthy. Even when you become wealthy in mindset, everything around you is going to change. Your fear of running gas prices, your fear of not being able to have food, where are your children going to be educated, or clothing, or jobs. Once you begin to live in this wealth mindset, that's when everything starts to change. And that's just the truth. So where were the most important decisions made by ancient cities? And where were those decisions made at? What location did they make these decisions? Same thing happens where I live and where you live. There's a chamber of commerce. There's a city hall. There are governmental places where decisions are being made. You and I have to plug into those, understand them, and use them. But in ancient days, where were contracts signed? In ancient days, where were disputes settled? In ancient days, where were economic agreements finalized? Where did leadership gather? It's very simple answer to all these questions. It happened at the gates of the city, the place where the city entered into commerce. And if you're understanding the gate, you understand how cities function, how wealth moves, and how influence literally is established and maintained. So this big thing I want to get across to you, and have you thinking in this way. People say, well, I'm not there. I understand you're not there, but you're never going to get there if you're not thinking there. You have to be thinking there to get there. So the gate was not just an entrance to the city. The gate was a center of power. No, let me back up. The gate was not just an entrance to the city. The gate was the center of power. Because at that gate, markets operated, contracts were negotiated, disputes were also resolved. Leadership gathered in these places, and policies were shaped inside the gate. The gate was an intersection of economics, power, leadership, and influence. Say it with me. The gate was an intersection of economics, law, leadership, and influence. And whoever controlled the gate influenced the whole city. Whoever controlled the gates controlled the whole city. So this is why it's important that you understand how kingdoms work. But because the kingdom has an economic system that also is manifested in the gate. This matters today because most people spend their lives working inside systems. You're inside the system. Listen to me. An older man told me once, he said, you're going to go and buy a car. He was giving me advice. He said, you're going to buy a car. He says, what time is your appointment? I said, my appointment is, because we're finalizing on the car. My appointment is at lunch. Me and my wife going to take off work. We're going to go and we're going to look at this car. We're going to pay cash for it, right? He helped me understand something. I never thought about it. He said, first of all, he said, so your appointment's at 12. He said, do you know what happened today between 4 in the morning and 6? I said, no, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. He said, you're going to buy a car, but at 4 o'clock, between 4 and 6 this morning, they determine how much you're going to pay for that car. They were up early. The business consultants, the salesperson, the mechanics, the maintenance folks, everybody. financing department, they have made it. They woke up early to decide how much you're going to pay for this car, the interest you're going to pay, how much it's going to be, because they believe you want this car. You've driven it 3 times. You get what I'm saying? In other words, he was telling me that, Martin, everywhere you go, there are people who've had a meeting inside their gate that you are not privy to. You don't know. And I've been using that ever since. And ever since then, I've not bought a new car. Never. I don't think I'll ever buy a brand new car. It makes absolutely no sense. No sense at all for me. Okay. And I digress. So most people spend their lives working inside of these systems. How much are you going to be paid? When are you going to be paid? And I manage some of those systems with the businesses that I own, the assets that I own. There are employees, there are people that we pay, but I encourage them. Eventually, you want to be in the position where you own it. That's where life happens. But the problem, when you're working in systems, the problem is you're not learning how systems are actually shaped. That's what he was telling me. Martin, you're going into a system and you need to understand how it's shaped. They participate in the economy. Do you understand that your Chevy dealer, your Dodge dealer, and your Ford dealer go golfing? They go golfing. They eat together. We think they're in competition because we see the advertisements on TV. They are not in competition. They're in agreement. I have to agree with Buddy and Ann over here. Ford, Chrysler, Chevrolet. We have to agree. We're not going to overprice or underprice. We want the world to see us as competitors, but we need to make agreements so that none of us lose money. Those are leaders inside of a gate. Lift your hand if you want to be a part of a more important gate out there, right? Where the decisions are made for other people. You're in a system, but are you being influenced by it, or are you leading that system? That is the question, my friend. The gate represents a higher level of thinking. Not just how do I succeed in this system, but how do I influence the system that I'm in? How do I influence the monetary system, the banking system, the leadership system, the medical system? You have to be an influencer in that system. You've got to be a part of the gate. So it might be good for you, people like you and me, because we're serious, right? Am I only participating in a system, or am I preparing to influence a system? I'm asking myself, ask yourself, am I just participating in this system, or am I preparing myself to be a part of this system, to have influence in this system? If your answer was like mine years ago, if your answer was, I'm going to participate only, right? Then I had to start reshaping my thought process. I have to start thinking about expanding my thinking, because kingdom people are not called to just function in systems. Kingdom people, according to Genesis, kingdom people are called to shape them. You and I have to start thinking about, how do we shape systems? Boaz was at the gate in Ruth 4. Boaz went into the gate. He went into the city. He stood at the gate. Why did he stand there? Because that is where legal and economic decisions, that's where they're made. So he stepped in the gate. He threw his shoe in at the gate. All the business leaders, civic leaders, political leaders, all the influencers that were part of this team were at the gate. So that's where he went, because decisions were made there. Witnesses gathered to watch it and document it. Legal matters were addressed there where Boaz went. Property, transactions, that's where they were finalized. So inside this gate, Boaz secured land. He secured land and legacy with his pronouncement of Ruth. Where? At the gate. This was not an actual conversation. This was more than an actual conversation. It wasn't casual. It was a serious conversation built around economics and economic authority. That happens in gates. I'm hoping and praying that you begin to see and understand that you need to at least have a thought process that you want to be a part of the gate of your city, your community, your family. The hidden principle is this: Boaz did not handle his business in private. He handled it in the place of public authority, because the gate is where legitimacy is established. Are you legitimate to your community? That happens in gates. Agreements are recognized in gates. Influence is literally exercised in gates. So it behooves people like you and I to continue to ask ourselves the right questions. Where are the gates? Where are the gates in my industry, in my environment, with what I'm called to do and to be? What do gates look like for me? Ask yourself that question. I'm pointing at you and I'm asking you, where are the gates in your industry where the real decisions are being made, where the authority is being exercised, where land is bought, where jobs are created, where polity is shaped and formed? Where are those in your world? Be a part of it. Subscribe to this channel and go ahead and watch the next video.